Well folks, it's the day after the Swetnam Arms meet, and on the way back I noticed an interesting fault develop in that the headlamps weren't working. That one would glow very, very dimly indeed. Both little side lights would come on, but not the main lamps. And also the main beam warning light on the dash, the blue circular lamp on the dash, was just glowing merrily to itself for quite a long time, and it all smacked of a dirty connection, dodgy earth, something like that. So I checked the fuse box first of all, but everything seemed okay in there. So I decided to have a look in here. Now, the headlamps and the bulbs are probably maybe one of the easiest designs ever to get at. You have 4 self-tapping screws which hold this sort of shroud thing on around here, as you can see over there. So you whiz that off, and then the headlamp unit is held in by this trim here, and there are 3 small self-tapping screws. They're there, you can see that, and another one down the bottom there. Of course these 2 came out okay, and of course the one at the bottom didn't. So in the end I had to retrieve the oldie trusty hacksaw and cut it off. I had to cut the head off, there it is, because it was all rusty and chewed and it just would not come off for love nor money. So that had to be hacksawed off. And there's the other bit there. In order to get this ring off, in order to get the headlamp out and get at the bulb on the back. Once that was off, it was all fairly easy. Bit of exercise on the connector on the back. It felt a bit dry, and it's restored the headlights for now. So down here I had to drill out the remains of the screw that I had to cut the head off and then drill out the remains of, and then find a suitable screw that fitted. So we did that, and then we were able to put it all back together, oiling it as we went, so that if I have to take this off at the side of the road, it'll be a 5-minute job as opposed to a 35-minute job. So this light is now working on dip and main beam, but that one isn't playing ball, so I think we'll need to do the same job over there as I did here. So I wasn't going to do a video about this, but I just thought I'd record like a little clip just showing what goes on between going to some of the events that we get to. So the headlight switch is round here, so that's now headlight on, as it should be, and that wasn't working before at all. And I can also check for main beam as well if I just have a look at the garage door and flash the lights, so that's good. And this one is on very, very dimly, which again suggests faulty earth and or dirty connection somewhere. So it's probably not been off for the same amount of time as that one, and that is a very long time. So while we're at it, we may as well have a look at this one and just see how the bulb connector is in there, because if that one can be grubby and slightly corroded, then this one could easily be as well. And while we're at it, we'll also lubricate the screws on this one as well, just so that if we have to get it off in future, it won't be too big of a job. And while this is off, it actually makes it a lot easier. I'll just spray a little bit of oil around under here just to help protect it. It doesn't appear to have suffered at all, but after nearly 30 years, spreading a bit of oil around some of these little nooks and crannies and recesses can't be a bad idea. So I'm going to do that before I put this sort of shroud thing back on, and then I'll turn my attentions over there. Who said running old cars was ever straightforward? Certainly not me. Notes the improvised kneeling pad to save the knees. These were actually the original seat covers that were, well, the seat covers that had been fitted by the previous owner of the old Volvo 164 that we used to own. They were pretty ghastly, to be honest, but they are so padded that they make for great kneeling pads, so perfect for a little job like this. Yeah, quite a few tools out today, 3-in-1, WD-40, various hacksaws, pliers, boxes of screws, and a drill, lots of drill bits. Like I said before, it is a total doddle to get at the back of the headlights. You've literally got these 4 screws, 2 either side. It just makes it so much easier compared to some cars where you have to either pull the front end off or take the wheel off, take the inner arch lining just to be able to get at the back of the lamp. So certainly one of the advantages of pop-up headlights is the incredible accessibility if you need to change a bulb. Now the 3 retaining screws on this side look a whole lot happier. I gave them a quick dousing of WD-40 just to help things along, especially on these small steel self-tapping screws. Often you only get one chance at them before they chew up. So I'll just let that soak for a little while. Now it was this bottom one down here that was problematic on the other side, because you don't have this problem on later MX5s, Mark II onwards. The headlights were just built into sort of the front panel here. They lost the lovely pop-up headlamps, which was a real shame. So let's see if this one will come. Just make sure you got a really tight fitting screwdriver. Bit of pressure on it because we don't want it skipping. Right, that one's coming okay. You don't have to take them out, you only have to slacken them. The other screws here are for the headlamp beam adjustment, so we don't want to be touching those. It's just these 3 where you release them, and a bit like an Austin 7 wheel, you then rotate this around. You've got an aperture there, and you can slide that over the screw head. I'll try this one at the top here. That one doesn't feel brilliant, I must be honest. Right, I'll put the camera down and report back, because I need to be able to get at this one properly. Like I say, you only get one go at slightly rusty old screws. Well, perhaps predictably, one of them isn't playing ball. This one is okay. Slightly surprisingly, the bottom one down there, which tends, obviously all the water tends to run over that one, is actually alright, but this one hidden up here really doesn't want to come out. And that could be problematic, because unlike with the lower one, I was able to get, where's the saw? I was able to get at the lower one on the other side with the saw upside down and get in there and cut the head of the screw off. But up here, I'm not going to be able to do that because of the lip of the headlamp there. So I think what we'll do, we'll clean this up. I mean, you probably can't see it, but it is a little bit crusty, so we'll clean that up with a little wire brush, and we'll give it a little tap, put the screwdriver on, just give it a bit of a tap with a small hammer, just to see if it frees up any corrosion that might be on the thread. Like I say, you don't get too many goes before they round off. Just one of those quick 5-minute jobs, eh? Well, mercifully that top one is starting to come now. I did give it a little tap with the old Birmingham screwdriver. Of course then you risk, even with just a light tap, you do risk damaging the bulb, but I can always change a bulb. But if that had rounded off, it would have been a bit of a pain in the pain au derrière, as the French might say. So we'll gingerly remove these screws, twist this, it's just like a bit of a bayonet type fixing, and the rim comes off and it lets you take the headlight out. So let's get that done. Right, so there's the retaining ring off, and you can see how that works. And here is the headlamp itself. There's the bulb, all nice and easy to get at. So we just pull off this rubber cover here, and I'll just check the bulb out and just see how that looks. Okay, and to get the bulb out, it's literally just held in with this springy bit of wire. So this end here, you unhook it from the slot that it's in there, move it down, out, and that releases the bulb, like so. Well, even after a lot of jiggling and wiggling, we don't appear to be getting a bright light over this side. It's very, very dim. So I think the next thing to do really is to dig out the meter and just check the contacts, just to see if we're getting the full 12 volts as far as the headlight. Very, very strange. So my connection in here isn't great, but would appear I'm getting 12 volts to the socket here, or close enough, but the light is very dim, and this is with earthing the meter just to a mounting bolt down there on the bulkhead. So my guess is that the earth, which is the black, let's see if we can pull that out, which will be the black wire there, I'm guessing we've got a dicky earth. The way to check that is to take my earth here for the meter off the mounting bolt on the car, which should be a pretty healthy earth return, and shove that in there, and then we'll see. There we go. Shove it in there, and we'll see if we're getting a full 12 volts using the earth on the socket. And if we're not, then we know what the problem is. Well, that kind of suggests that the earth in the socket isn't too bad at all. So maybe there's something up with the bulb itself. I did take it out before and it looked okay. Bit more investigation required, I think. Even with a new bulb in, it doesn't seem to work properly. You just get a very dull light, which again, if you're getting the full 12 volts and the earth return is working, it should work. I'll have to break out the wiring diagram, it's got that desperate, so let me see if I can find where the workshop manual is, then we'll just confirm which of these two wires, the red or the red and the white, is actually for the dip and main beam circuit, because maybe that's where the problem lies. But right, let's go and find the manual. Right, here is the workshop manual that we have, and according to the index, wiring diagrams, page 751. 751, wiring diagrams general. We have not included a set of wiring diagrams because we feel it is a pointless exercise. That's very handy. Well, I'm not getting particularly far here, so I'll just put it back together for the time being. It would have been handy if there was a wiring diagram in that manual, so I'm going to have to spend a bit of time this afternoon online and just see if I can find a wiring diagram at least for the headlight circuit. Because what I'm not sure is, obviously you've got the headlight switch on the column, and then somehow that feed goes down here to here and over there. Now, is there a, see there are several connections under the steering column, so what I'd need to know is there one connection from here coming down here somewhere and then splitting offside and near side, or are there two separate feeds straight from the switch, one going down here and the other going over there? If it's that, then there's a problem at the switch end. But if there is a single feed coming out of the switch and then somewhere under here it branches off left and right, then I know that the switch end is correct and there is a problem with a connector somewhere over here. Sometimes you get a single connection coming from the switch to one lamp, maybe this one, and then a branching connection from here over to there. So that's a possible, but nothing in the manual to say quite how the wiring is done. So if I can find some details online, that'll tell me whether to ignore the switch and the connector. There's like a connector block under the steering column, so I need to find out whether I can ignore that and instead concentrate my efforts here to see why this one works and that one doesn't. And I need to see where the feed to that one goes, or rather comes from. Does it come straight from here to there, in which case there might be a problem with the jumper connection here going over there, or does the feed to that one come straight also from the headlight switch? This is what I need to try and establish. But I can't do anything now. Looks like it's going to rain. I'm getting a bit peckish, so I'll report back once I've spent a bit of time seeing if I can find any wiring details online for the Mazda. Okie dokie folks, well, a lot of pondering, one sausage bap later, we have some progress. I've been looking up various wiring diagrams on the internet, printing various things off, and I was able to narrow it down. I mean, there are several possible causes for lights going dim on a Mk1 MX5, but the two most likely reasons in pole position are there is like a block connector on the back of the lamp, and they can melt, and usually the cause of that is a failed earth, and earth is the thing that I was thinking about before. So as you can see, it's very, very dim, and that's usually a sign of an iffy earth. So I spent a bit of time rooting around, and the earth, there is a combined earth down here. It's a little bit grubby, but this white block here with various black, i.e. earth, cables going into it is held on by a single, what looks like a 10mm screw onto the bulkhead. And if I wiggle that, it brings the lights on. Now, will this work? Light, very, very dim. If I just move this a little bit, there we go. It's back on. And also the main beam functions once again. So clearly, I mean, the connection looks a bit grotty down there, but what can happen is, over time, poor earths can lead to the light socket on the back of the headlamp itself, which we were looking at before. It can lead to them burning out, especially apparently when you've got H4 lamps, which is apparently what we've got on here, the halogens. So they load up the electrical system just a little bit more than the regular bulbs that probably would have been the standard fitment. So I think what we need to do this evening is just remove that 10mm bolt and clean all that up, because it looks pretty mucky in there. I did tidy up round there a little while ago because there were a few leaves and things keeping a bit damp down there, which wasn't ideal. So that is the cause of the problem on the MX5 here. So anyway, that should be a relatively simple thing to fix, and hopefully we won't have that problem again. So thank you very much for watching this quick video on the MX5 Mk1 circa 1995. Please check out the rest of the channel if you haven't already. There are lots and lots of tinkering videos on here, and no doubt there'll be many, many more along very, very soon. So bye for now. That's better.